Welcome to Pharmaceutical Management Unit, otherwise known as the PMU. I had the privilege of having an exclusive interview with the head body that owns PMU. Also, I had a chance to experience a walkthrough of the facility and access to a boardroom meeting. PMU is a supply chain management unit that supplies all health facilities of the 10 regions with the required amounts of medical supplies, with the right product, at the right quantity, right place, right time, at the right price. First, I spoke to the head of the procurement team who gave a walkthrough of procurement and forecasting. Can you say what quantification is?
Okay, well, you see, quantification is a process by which we use to find the amount and the cost of different health items that we would buy. We generally would use this process to help the procurement area in their getting the funds and the correct product for our customers. This should include not only quantities, but it should also include shipment delivery schedules, and you should also take into account the lead time. The lead time is the time it would take for the specific drug or whatever commodity to be delivered.
And delivery schedule based on the funding available.
So from what we have heard, your business supplies different health facilities around Guyana. How do you manage to supply the right quantity to all of these facilities?
Okay, the first thing in the quantification aspect is to collect the data for forecasting from all levels of health facilities and throughout the region. These data are known as consumption data, morbidity data, and demographic data. Consumption data deals with the quantities being dispensed or consumed within a monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly period over the span of 1 year. Pharmacy service register and credits, while the morbidity and demographic data speaks to population growth rates, including in the prevalence of disease. You would also find in the enterprise for each region we have a personnel in charge of these needs. So the first thing in the quantification process is that you collect the data from all health facilities throughout the region. So that data is known as the consumption data. So basically the consumption data speaks about the medication dispensed over a different period of time, for example the monthly, the bi-monthly or quarterly. Whereas on the other hand the morbidity deals with the surveillance or prevalence of the disease specific. That's it.
So after you would have collected all of this data, right, you would generally have to analyze and adjust it. Now there are specific things that we would look for. Things such as, for instance, the facility reporting rate, how often the facility would have kept the data, because sometimes they would not take record as much as they should. We also look at if the data is adjusted for in cases of stockouts or in cases of, let's say, they made a substitution for a medicine. That's what we would usually look for. And another point that we generally would look for is if, for instance, you would organize and analyze data and check and see how recent the data is, right? The more recent the data is, the more likely you are to use it, the more trustworthy the data is. When we are looking at this quantification aspect, right, there are more than one methods we can use. There's the consumption method and the morbidity method, right? The consumption method, we would use that more for like the essential drug list because it's easier to get the information from facilities. But when it comes to antiretroviral type of drugs and TB, HIV, those type of drugs, we look more towards the incidence, which is the morbidity, than we would the consumption because it's a smaller amount and incidence is more important in that aspect, easier to handle.
We heard you're always on time in getting your supplies where they need to be. So how do you manage to do that?
That would come down mainly to our supply planning, how well we do our supply planning, right? Supply planning has to do with various things that we would have to take into account. Certain things like how much stock we have in our inventory right now, right? So if we have the right amount, how much we should bring in, right? We would also need to check for like expiry dates when we are ordering stuff. We don't want to order something and then we can't use it out before the expiry date hits because we'll have losses. So we check for those sorts of stuff. Any shipments we have ordered before but still have not received yet, all of that we need to take into account when looking at supply planning, right? When it comes to getting it on time when they need it, we will have to look at the intervals, right?
So how about in cases where you have insufficient funds? What do you do then?
Well, in those sorts of cases, for us, we would look to the quantification team will look towards seeing if they can find a way to have better resources, have more resources, right? But if you cannot get more resources, you would have to look to make like cutbacks on certain drugs. If, for instance, there's a very important drug that you must need, that is a dire in need drug, you would try to keep that amount to the same, but drugs that aren't as prevalent, you would decrease to try and get the price to the right amount that you can afford it.
So after this has completed, quantification is then sent to procurement personnel and the supplier.
After I interviewed the warehouse management and distribution team who supplies the regions with pharmaceuticals. Can you shed some light on the inventory system?
Well, our inventory system is called MAS, and this basically means management and system storage. And let's say we have about like 10 different computers, and for each computers we have different data entry clerk. So each of these data entry clerk will have their own unique username and password, which they can then use to log on to the system, of course. And then these data clerk can then enter our product, which is in this case paracetamol, into the system.
So your MAS, how does it help you in the process?
Well, our MAS system is extremely helpful and accurate, especially in our inventory system check, which happens at random times, like every month. So like let's say a day we can just like say that, hey, let's go and check it this time. So this process can then help us to identify if there are any missing items.
It also alerts us of expiry dates. We follow a strict rule of first in, first out, and basically without this system, we cannot manage the space efficiently.
Okay, so let's say a region wants to order some amount of paracetamol. How does this take place?
So let's say like some region wants to order some amount of paracetamol. Let's say like Rosignol Health Center wants to order some amount of paracetamol. What they will do is that they will first have to fill out a order form or order requisition that is called a CRIV. And this CRIV is then submitted to the warehouse manager, and it can then be forwarded to the data entry clerk to create what is known as a pick slip.
And this pick slip helps the picker to know the exact location of the paracetamol corresponding to the batch number, shelf number, pack number, etc.
So every shelf has their own unique number?
Yes, every shelf has their own unique number. We have up to 20 shelves with 4 rows, and the picker will go to the indicated shelf number and pick the required quantity of paracetamol.
Also, the checker will ensure the package pick is correct, and every staff will have to sign the CRIV, from the picker to the person who checked it and also the warehouse manager. After everything is signed, the package is then boxed and packed, and it is then sent to the dispatch area.
There are lots of processes within this area. Is all of it necessary?
Yes, it is very helpful in the process. Besides making the process efficient and orderly, in the event of a mistake, it helps us to know what went wrong, where, and who made this mistake. Our system is so efficient that in the event of a box or a card going missing, we will know. And we can then trace back to what went wrong, where, and which staff had access to that batch. You can just think how hectic our warehouse gets when one pharmaceutical product goes missing, and this results in everyone searching every single nook and cranny in this place looking for that one product.
Also, because of this, this is why our system is so efficient in helping us to identify terror. I did remember a time that there was a staff who stole like a couple boxes of insulin, and we found this, and then we quickly like fired him. So this is how our system is very efficient.
This seems like quite the responsibility you have there. What happens after it goes to the dispatch area?
Okay. So at dispatch, the warehouse manager and the vehicle that is transporting our paracetamol is notified. A gate pass is usually written and signed by our dispatch clerk, and this gate pass is just for security reasons, where the vehicle number is stored for future reference. Like let's say the truck goes missing or the vehicle goes missing, which vehicle is it? That is how we can determine what it is. Okay? And the crib, which is the same crib that was stamped by our receptionist and also received from this facility that was ordered from. So when the facility orders a product, in this case paracetamol, the receptionist stamps it and it is then taken to the PLO for that particular region. Now, after it is then taken to the warehouse, where as mentioned earlier, that is where the picking and the packing process occurs. The product is then taken to the dispatch area. The facility is then notified that their packed product is ready and is ready to be uplifted, and then a vehicle will be sent to uplift that particular product. The driver will then sign that crib and he will receive one such copy, whilst the other copy of the crib will go to the PLO for the particular region, and the final copy of the crib will be stored with the warehouse manager for security reasons. And after that, the package is packed onto the transport vessel, whatever it may be, let's say a truck or a ship, and it will then be en route to its destination.
And finally, we have the dispensing team who dispenses the distributed products to the consumers.
Good day, everyone. I am with Natifa Rankin and Deviani Boyle, and today we are going to look at the dispensing process. These girls are part of the procurement team, and they will share with us how they go about doing the process and the details inside. So the questions I have for you today is, how does a dispensing cycle work? After the warehouse says dispatch it, then it will go on to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how do you go about from there?
Okay, so after the drugs have been transported from the warehouse to our facility, the main facility, then we take records of how many drugs have been transported and all of that. Because it's very important to take information so that we don't have overstock or understock. When a patient comes in, right, we have a particular process that we do. So this is the dispensing process, right? We have 6 steps. The first step is to read and validate the prescription. Then we have understand and interpret the prescription. Excuse me. Then prepare and label items for issue. Then we have make a final check, record action taken, then issue the drug along with the use of instructions and advice. So the first step, which is to read and validate, is very important, and when the patient comes, we confirm with them their name, age, sex, and all of that, right? Then when we're understanding and interpreting the prescription, our facility has made it one of our top priorities to ensure that our dispensers are trained, because when you're reading a description, you need to know how to calculate it, you need to know how to read it. So it's very important that they are trained. Then when the prescription is finished, being interpreted, we prepare it. When we're preparing, we search for the tablet. For example, if we're there, when we see the tablet, we ensure that, okay, this is the tablet that I'm looking for.
So we check the expiry date as well as the strength of the tablet, because some tablets have different strengths and we need to ensure that it's the same one that was given in the prescription. After we have ensured that we have the correct medication, then we label our package. Sometimes when we weren't packaging the medication, we either package it in a plastic or we have a container that we package it in. Then we label it. Next, we make a final check. It is very important to ensure that another dispenser double checks the information, double checks that is the correct prescription and everything. Then we record the information. Our facility records our information by documenting it in a logs book, and then we issue the medication. When issuing the medication to the patient, we ensure that we give counseling so they can know how to take this medication, when to take this medication, how to store this medication.
So for this dispensing cycle, is there any challenges that you face?
Of course, there are a lot of challenges, but the main one would be like when we have stockouts because of late delivery and also receiving stocks with short expiry dates. And of course, all of this will result in patient dissatisfaction and not being able to fill orders. After the interviews, I had access to a board meeting among the heads of each department.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a great weekend. Over the weekend, I've heard that we had a 90% order fulfillment rate, and I would like to congratulate all of our staff for keeping that rate up. As we know, that is above the 70% requirement, and as you can see, that rate is way above that. So first, we'd like to start off by congratulating Mr. Mark Henry and his distribution team for his efficient method of distributing. But of course, as we all know, effective distribution cannot occur without proper forecasting and procurement, and I would like to congratulate Mr. Zakir and his team as well. And last but certainly not least, I would like to congratulate our dispensing staff for having their orderly method of dispensing to our consumers. Anything anyone would like to bring to the table?
Yes. Good day, everyone. For the most part, we had excellent results due to the timely submission of consumption data along with the help of our MAS system. Because of this, we were able to provide the coastal regions 2 to 6, with 98% fulfillment in their needs. However, there were a few challenges when it came to the other regions.
So for Region 1, we had 89% order fulfillment, and for the Region 7, 8, 9, and 10, we had 87%, 75%, 79%, and 62% order fulfillment respectively. We also had a supply of funds, therefore we had to make some adjustment on order of various drugs such as Spartum and Clomicin to suit the funds that were available to us at this time. Because of this, we were unable to supply adequate amount of essential meds to the facilities that were in high demand.
So is there anything you would like me to do, or would you like to see the company do to help this problem?
Well, the main problem with it is the funding, because we didn't have enough money. So what we can try to do, what I'm thinking we can try to do, is try to have more opportunities, to have more institutions to donate to us, so we can have more funding.
So is there anyone else that would like to raise any other issue from distribution or dispensing?
So yes, I would like to raise a couple issues that I had. First off, I just want to congratulate our procurement team because there's been a marked decrease in expired goods. It's about a 15% decrease. That is from 18% to now it's currently at 3%. So whatever you guys are doing up there, just continue to do it. It's a great job so far. Also, I would like to raise a couple issues that I've had with my staffs. Some of which are the picking and the packing staff. Now, usually when the staffs are going to pick and pack certain pharmaceuticals, they would like leave some boxes open, or they would leave some empty boxes open, or even like they would leave some quantities of pharmaceuticals inside the box and then totally forget about it. Now, we all know that we have about 10 different forklifts traversing the the warehouse, and we know that these empty boxes, also there are strips of the boxes around the house or around the warehouse. So all of these can cause potential hazards for these machineries.
So after hearing from our procurement and distribution team, is there any issue that you from dispensing would like to raise?
Yes, so despite the 90% order fulfillment rate, over here we had some challenges, especially in regions 8 and 9. I will be dealing with some, well, mentioning some from region 8, and Latifa here will be doing some from region 9. So in region 8, first off, there is no registered pharmacist in the entire region. They're all pharmacy assistants. Access to the facilities is, especially in sub-region 1, is very difficult. And also, when our PLOs go in these regions, there is no proper accommodation. Also, with the influx of Venezuelans in these hinterland areas, there is difficulty in meeting the needs as they weren't catered for in the forecasting stage. As consumption data was used from the previous year. So for this part, of course, there is need for more funding so as to get more commodities bought so as to meet the needs of these people.
Right?
Okay, so with Region 9, two of the major challenges that we face with our facilities is communication problems and transportation problems. With communications, most of the areas don't have any cell phone access. Then those areas that do have cell phone access, it takes very long for us to contact them. The challenge with transportation is when we have the rainy season, because of the mountainous areas, it's very difficult to transport the medicine from the regional hospital to the minor health facilities, which tends to make cause patient dissatisfaction, right? There was one incident whereas recently happened, whereas the transport that we had that was carrying the drugs, it got stuck because they took a wrong turn and well they got lost, and it caused a major setback for us. Some recommendation. Yes, recommendation would be air transport for when we have those rainy seasons.
So what I would like to suggest is that since I'm already meeting Mr. Lucien over here for more funding for his regions, you can also join with us on that meeting so that we can explore a possibility for you as well.